Hey, fellow problem solvers, Colfax Math here. The only way you get good at anything is practice. What we're doing today is we are going over a sample trade entrance exam. It is taken from my book, Blue Collar Calculus. It is at the end of chapter 10. If you have the book, go ahead and do it in the book first, then watch the video and see how I do it. Make sure you get 10 out of 10 here. If you don't have the book, have paper and pencil in front of you, making sure you pause the video, do the problem before I do it, unpause the video and watch how I do it. This is just a practice union entrance exam. A lot of times you have to take an entrance exam like this even before the interview. These entrance exams like the IBU to get into Electrical Workers Union, Carpenters Union, they require fundamental math skills. These fundamental math skills are also a really good way to check how well you are able to work through logical problems and your logical thought process. That's why everybody always includes them. Most of these tests focus on practical arithmetic. That has to be really good. Your multiplication tables really well down. Fractions, decimals, and basic algebra. Chapter 10 in this book is an intro to basic algebra. And all of these are timed tests, usually about a minute per problem with no calculator. So make sure you don't have a calculator out. And then let's go ahead and get started. Let's jump right in, pause the video, and go ahead and do these two problems. Unpause, watch how I do them. Okay, number one right here. What I have is I have a bunch of fractions, the numerator and the denominator. To add or subtract fractions, I have to have a common denominator. I'm looking for a number that all of these will go into. That is going to be 16. So I'm going to take this first fraction, and I got to get it to a 16 on the bottom. So I multiply it by 2 to get that 16. That's going to change the value of it. So what I have to do is I have to multiply it by 2 over 2. 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1. If I multiply by 2 over 2, it does not change the value of it. So I'm going to take that fraction, 3/8, multiply by 2 over 2 to give me 6/16. I am working to have all of them with a common denominator, meaning the bottom number is the same. The next fraction is 1/4. I want that bottom number to be a 16. I'm going to multiply it by 4 over 4. Again, I'm multiplying by 1, doesn't affect the value of it. It gives me an equivalent fraction. 1 times 4 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 1/4 and 4/16 are the exact same thing. They are equivalent. 4 divided by 16 is a quarter, just like 1 divided by 4. Then my last fraction right here already has a denominator of 16, so I'm going to just write it down. Now that all of my fractions have the same bottom number, the same denominator, I just add across the top 6 plus 4 plus 5, 15, and I keep that common denominator of 16. Correct answer, 15/16. All right, number 2, a carpenter that has a board that is 12 feet long needs to cut 4 pieces that are 2 3/8 of an inch long. Neglect the width of the saw cut, so there is no kerf. So I got to cut how much board is left. So I have to take 2 3/8 and multiply that by 4. There are 2 ways to do this. I could do 2 times 4, hold that number 8, and then do 3/8 times 4, 12/8, convert that into a fraction, add the 2 together. Or the other way I could do that, this is called a mixed number, is I could turn it into an improper fraction. The way I do that is I go 2 times 8, 16. 16 plus 3, 19/8 times 4. Multiplying fractions is a lot easier than adding them. There are no rules. You just multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. However, before I do that, I could cancel. 4 is the same thing as 4 over 1. 4 goes into here once, into here twice. Now I'm going to multiply across the top, 19 over 2. That's not actually going to work yet because I got 12 feet here. So I got to convert this into a mixed number. 2 goes into 18 9 times with a half left over. And then the other part too, these are all inches. So I got to use the same unit. You need to know that there are 12 inches to the foot. 12 inches equal 1 foot. Double ticks are inches. 1 tick are feet. So I got 12 feet minus 9.5 inches. Well, 12 inches to the foot, 12 feet, it's going to leave me with 11 feet. And then I have 12 inches minus 9.5, which is 2.5 inches. So the correct answer is number 2, 11 feet, 2.5 inches. A lot of little pieces in there, working with fractions. Hopefully you're 2 for 2. Let's go ahead and do these 2 problems as well. Pause the video, give it a try. Unpause the video, watch how I do these. So here's a decimal, multiplying decimals. I'm going to write out the one at the top, 0.045 times 1.2. I'm not going to look at the decimal places right now. I'm just going to multiply those 2 numbers together. 2 times 5 is 10. Carry the 1. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. 2 times 0 is 0. Next, I have a placeholder right here, because now this is the ones place, so I start in the ones. Now I'm in the tens place, so I need to start in the tens place here. 1 times 5, 1 times 4, 1 times 0. I don't need to write that down. Now that I've multiplied here and here, now I add down 0, 14, carry the 1, 5. Now what I need to do is count over how many places the decimal is. It is over 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got to start right here and go over 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's my decimal, and it is 0.0540. See if that even really makes sense. I have 45 thousandths times 1.2, well, 45 thousandths times 1 is still 45 thousandths. So 45 thousandths times 1.2 should be a little bit more, which is 54 thousandths. Okay, number 4, convert this into a decimal. I think of that fraction leaning like this and falling over this way. So I have 16, that fraction's falling over this way, into 7. Well, it doesn't go into 7, so I put a decimal there. That decimal goes straight up there. 16 into 70, 5 would be 50, 80, 4 would be 64. So it would be 64. 70 minus 64 would be 6, bring down a 0. 16 into 60 would be 3, which would be 48. 60 minus 48 is 12, bring down the 0, times 7, I think. Whoops. Times 7. 7 times 16, 7 times 10 is 70, plus 42 is 112. 8, bring down the 0. 16 into 80 is 5. So convert 7/16 into a decimal. The decimal equivalent is 0.4375. 4 for 4. Let's keep going. Hopefully you're doing well here. If you're not getting any of these right, you don't even know what I'm talking about, that's okay. I have this whole book. It's only 10 chapters, 10 videos. Just kind of work your way through this book and you'll be able to ace a test like this. All right, number 5, pause it, give it a try. Solve for x. I'm going to bring that 2x over to the left. So I have 5x minus 2x is 3x. Then I'm going to add 7. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides and add 7 to both sides. So I have 3x is equal to 18. Dividing both sides by 3, x is equal to 6. Okay, if you don't really know what I'm doing there, the golden rule of algebra, keeping that thing balanced, that's chapter 10. Okay, what is the value of a when b is 5 and c is 2. So I am given an equation. I am given values for these variables. I plug them in. B is 5, C is 2. So A is equal to B, which is 5 plus 3 times 4 minus C. 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 5 is 11. Okay, number 7. Need a little more room than this here. Actually, I'll just move it up a little bit. Pause the video, give this one a try. Okay, so on this right here, I have fractions in an equation. I think the first thing I'm going to do before I do anything else is get common denominators across the whole thing. So I'm going to multiply this by 3 over 3 to make it a 6. So I have x over 6 is equal to 3x over 6 minus 4. Now I'm going to get my variables all on the same side and then my constants all on the same side. I'm going to subtract x over 6 from both sides. And I am also, at the same time, going to add 4 to both sides. That's going to give me 4 on the left. X over 6 minus x over 6 is 0. And then I have that 4 there. 3x over 6 minus 1x over 6 gives me 2x over 6. Minus 4 plus 4 is 0. I could reduce that if I want. I know that 2 goes into 2 one time, so I have 4 is equal to x over 3. 2 goes into here once, into here, whoops. 2 goes into here once, goes into there 3 times. Lastly, I am dividing by 3. The way I reverse division is I multiply both sides by 3. Those cancel, giving me x by itself. That's what I wanted. If I do it to the right side, I also have to do it to the left side. So in this one right here, x is equal to 12. Okay, number 8, moving on to some geometry and measurement problems. Find the area of a circle. Area of a circle is pi r squared. Pi is just a number. It is a ratio of circumference to diameter. You can approximate it with 3.14. This is a Greek letter pi. It represents that number. And I have a radius of 10. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that radius, plug it in here. I have to do my exponents first. So I square that 10. 10 squared is 100 times 3.14 times pi. Well, 100 just means move over 1, 2. So the answer is 314 square inches because we're looking for area and we are given a radius in inches. Number 9, I have a right triangle. That word right angle, I draw in with a little box with a base of 9 and a height of 12, all in feet. What is the length of, oh, I thought I was going to say, what is the length of the hypotenuse? If I have a right triangle, I could use the Pythagorean theorem. So I have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. You might recognize this as a 3, 4, 5. If this were 3, it would be 3 times 3. If this were 4, it would be 4 times 3. Then this would have to be 5 times 3, which would give me 15. That's one of the common Pythagorean triples we remember, 3, 4, 5, or the same ratios of. But if you don't see that, we could still do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 9 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. 9 squared is 9 times 9, 81. Plus 12 squared, 144, equal to c squared. What is that? 225 is equal to c squared. The way I get c by itself, get rid of that square is I square root it. Square root of 225 is 15, or negative 15, but we're talking about the length, so it could only be a 15. Our units are feet, feet. 1 tick marks are feet, 2 tick marks are inches. All right, bringing us to problem number 10. In the book, there's an answer key with explanations as well. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit notify. The more you study, the better you're going to do. Share these videos with anybody you know who might be studying for any standardized math exam. All these standardized math exams are very similar. Entry into the ASVAB, entry into the union, a lot of placement, contractors exams. All of them always have these foundational math skills involved in all those tests. And surprisingly, it doesn't take that much to get back in the game and relearn these skills if you forgot them or kind of figure them out for the first time. It really helps to write it down, take some notes, do practice problems. You can do all of that in this book, Blue Collar Calculus. But if you're not using the book, make sure you have a notebook out, pausing the videos, doing the problems before I do them. All right, let's get this last one. A tank is in the shape of a rectangular prism. So the base is a rectangle, then it comes up or goes back this way. Not my finest drawing. It measures 4 feet by 3 feet by 2 feet. So it is 4 feet by 3 feet by 2 feet deep. What is the total volume of the tank in cubic feet? Well, it's going to be the base area, 3 times 4, 12 square feet, times a height of 2, 24 cubic feet. And really, this is a good strategy to have. Really mark up the equation, draw a picture if you can, create an equation from that picture, solve the equation, and then make sure you are answering what they are asking. Find the total volume, 24 cubic feet. All right, any questions at all, please post them in the comments. Hopefully you got 10 out of 10 before I did. If you didn't get 10 out of 10, no calculator, about a minute per problem. Maybe go back and study some more. You can't ever over-prepare for something as important as entry into a new career. So I really encourage you to keep practicing, and you'll do great if you put the work in. Thank you.